Yo, what's up? Welcome to the opening line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Corey Parson, my main man, Benny Ricciardi. Benny, exciting night in the NBA last night, draft lottery. I'm a big-time conspiracy theorist, Benny.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm getting ready to get started. What's up with you, though?
Hey, not too much, man. Yeah, it was, it was cool to see how that's going to work out. And, now that we know who's got what picks, now they can start trying to trade. We'll see where Anthony Davis ends up. We'll see what superstars end up on, what other teams. And, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of next season of NBA action and teams starting to do their roster stuff. So
no doubt the NBA, much like the NFL, is becoming a 24/7 sport, meaning, the sport basically they give you something all year round. I thought it was interesting. Commissioner Silva in the pre-show talking about different ways to split, more or less the soccer style, putting a tournament in the middle of the season. I think that's a fabulous idea. I think you get a play-in tournament for the 7 to 10. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that before. The NBA's in a good spot right now.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I heard that same thing, and I was like, man, I kind of like the direction that they're going. The NBA, to me, has always been the league that's not afraid to try something different, right? Like, baseball's been around for 100-something years and the traditions and blah, blah, blah. And, the NFL is very, this is the way we're doing it because it's all kind of dictated by TV. The NBA has the most flexibility of any of the leagues to do something like this. And I think it's a great idea because let's face it, man. I mean, there's nothing that pisses me off more as a DFS player, as a gambler, and even just as a basketball fan is when you get 5:30 at night and you start getting, this guy's sitting out today for rest.
Yeah.
Or this guy's sitting out because he's nursing an injury. And you're like, he just played 45 minutes and dropped 50 points last night. He didn't look injured last night. I didn't see him hobbling off the court. So if that's going to be a problem going forward, and this is something that can solve that problem, I mean, hey, this is why they do it in soccer where they have like a midweek tournament and then at end of the week you play your actual games. I don't know what the solution is for the NBA, but I'm all about them trying something different that kind of solves this problem and, creates a little more excitement. Because let's face it, a lot of times most people, the average fan, doesn't really care about the NBA regular season.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're going into the Stern Cup, right? We're going into the Stern Cup. That's what it'd be called, the Stern Cup. And it's like will the Warriors play Steph Curry in the Stern Cup? You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So you add intrigue, and obviously they get another shot coming up. I think the NBA Summer League is going to have their biggest year this year, especially with illegal gambling. I mean, legal gambling in most states. I know it's been legal gambling for
legal
a while.
And illegal, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right, legal and illegal gambling in most states. I think the NBA Summer League is in for a big year this year. I think you're going to see those handles on those bets and those TV numbers go up. Speaking of TV numbers, NBA is reporting good numbers for their first and second round of the playoffs. Big number was, I believe it was Game 5 of Rockets or Game 6 of Rockets Warriors. One of those two did a 6.8 million.
That's a lot. That's good. I mean, listen, here's
the thing that's about it. As crazy as the NFL is, it's Thursday night football games that get double that.
Yeah, and
that's wild.
But here's the other thing too, and this is where the playoffs is a lot different than the regular season. On a random Wednesday night in February, there might be 7, 8, 9 games. So if you're an NBA fan, your attention is split amongst those games. Like the Knicks fans are watching the Knicks games, and the Nets fans are watching the Nets games, and the people who are just basketball fans like me are watching whatever the good game that night is, Warriors, Rockets, Toronto, Milwaukee, all these teams that are still around and made the playoffs. So you have it all split. When the playoffs come around, though, especially at this point in the playoffs, it's one game a night, right? Like last night we had one game. Tonight we have one game. All the way going forward from now, it's only one game. There's only 2 series going. They're not going to play on the same day. They're not going to go up against each other. So if you're a basketball fan, every basketball fan is watching these games. Thursday night football, the reason the number's so big is, what else are you doing on Thursday night? If you're a football fan, that's the game you're watching. You don't have to choose between a whole bunch of different games.
Yeah, and you got to get your fantasy and your bets right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, listen, I still think football is king. I mean, you and I would always agree with this, whether we're talking fantasy, whether we're talking like advertising numbers, whether we're talking attendance, like football is king in this country. There's no doubt about that. But basketball is, 7 million viewers, that's still a lot of people.
No, it really is. The thing about it is football is so humongous that basketball is having, the NBA is having a great season, a great playoffs, and the NFL is like, you're not even close. It's crazy.
Here's the other thing too: is the NFL has 18 weeks.
Yeah, you're right.
4 weeks of playoffs. You know, the NBA season is. I mean, we started. I wrote my first article for NBA in October.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, my last article for NBA, by the time this is all going to be done, is going to be June. That's 8 months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're talking 8 months of games, and a lot of times you got 5, 6, 8, 10 games a night. So you know, it's a lot different, and I think people need to understand that. You look at attendance numbers. You know, some of these teams with stadiums, basketball arenas that are half as large as some of these football stadiums are actually bringing in twice as much in ticket revenue because you got 84 games instead of 18.
No doubt.
And that's a lot of money. That adds up.
That is true. And that's a perfect segue into the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans, a nothing franchise that the NBA does not know what to do with right now, trying to figure out what it is. Obviously, Gail Benson is much more – Gail Benson got a football team that she pays Drew Brees $40 million, and she pays Sean Payton and Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, and there was no chance she was keeping AD and Boogie Cousins. And now Zion Williamson lands in New Orleans. And it's like, this is fucking rigged. Because it's rigged, Benny. It's straight up rigged. Basically, Zion Williamson lands in New Orleans. So now you have the piece was, how is Zion going to affect Anthony Davis? Well, guess what? Now they're on the same team. Do you think Rich Paul is going to tell Anthony Davis, mind you, the Pelicans don't have to move him now. They don't have to move him. Now they say to Anthony Davis, let's see you sit down now. Let's see you want to be traded now. You're going to be on TV every night. The building is going to be jam-packed. And you think, and you really think that Anthony Davis is going to sit out next season if he's not traded?
Yes.
Really? Even with Zion there?
Dude, they're trading Anthony Davis. It's not even a question.
Last night, Benny, they were like, they plan on keeping him. He's still their property. See, here's another thing. Zion Williamson does not have an agent. Rich Paul is rumored to be very close to signing Zion Williamson. Now you're going to have the two players on the same team, and now you're going to tell Anthony Davis, no, you're not going to go play with Zion. This thing right here was set up, Benny. I'm telling you, this was set up. The plan here is you raise the value of the Pelicans franchise, then you snatch it away and move that team to Seattle.
I mean, isn't that what they basically did before the Chris Paul trade to begin with? Like a couple years ago with the Lakers? I mean, wasn't that the original point?
Trying to get value into that franchise.
Well, I mean, listen, to me, you're going to get more value into that franchise by trading Anthony Davis.
You think so?
Yeah, because Anthony Davis does not want to be there. Anthony Davis is not going to play. We saw it last year. He played.
I don't know. With Zion there now, that team on TV every night, his name will get ran through the mud if he don't play and he's under contract.
All right, so run his name through the mud. He don't give a shit. He's been there 7 years. That was the whole thing. His name got ran through the mud since the playoffs, since the All-Star break this year when all that stuff.
Nobody was paying attention, though, Benny. Because it's like it's the Pelicans, whatever.
Well, to go back to our original point, because nobody gives a shit about the NBA regular season. That's the whole thing.
But Zion brings a different attitude. Zion now is eyes on New Orleans now. And apparently Zion was not happy at all last night.
I mean, I wouldn't be happy either. He's going to New Orleans. He had a chance to go to the Knicks or the Lakers. He had a chance to go to New York or LA. He's going to end up in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is that really where you want to be right now?
You never hear anything like this, obviously, but they was like, after New Orleans was granted the first pick, that they said that he was whisked out the room in the back. They said that he was visibly shaken and that he was under the belief that he was going to be a New York Knick. Now, I don't know if somebody told him that. Probably not. But I maybe he was just like wishing for the best. But I'm quite sure the Pelicans never, ever, ever crossed his mind.
So listen, here's why I don't think it's rigged, right? Because you had 4 teams left there in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You had the Knicks, you had the Lakers, you had New York and LA. You had the 2 biggest media markets in the world. You have John Morant, arguably the most electric player in this draft, and Zion Williamson, the most exciting player in this draft. If you're rigging this, you put those 2 guys in New York and LA, not New Orleans and Memphis.
See, I look at it different. I look at it as you put him in New Orleans By putting him in New Orleans, now you're saying to Rich Paul, you see what you did to that franchise? Now they got the number 1 pick. Now your move. What are you going to do? Zion is agentless. You're going to have a monster shoe deal. You know what I'm saying? We know you want to get Zion on your team. You got a monster shoe deal. So now go ahead and sign Zion. Now you got Zion and Anthony Davis on the same team. And the NBA is saying, I dare you try to force their hand now. Because Anthony Davis will go back. I think Anthony Davis will go back. I think Rich wants him out of there. But now Rich is like, well, if I get Zion, I keep both of them. I think the NBA is purposely saying, what's the next move now? And as far as, it's like people are still going to watch the Knicks. People are still going to watch the Lakers. Now you give value to the Pelicans.
Ain't nobody going to watch the Pelicans.
You still, even with Zion there, Benny, it's not going to happen.
Listen, here's the deal. I mean, Zion Williamson's a great player, right? He's going to be special. I think he's going to be very good. Is he a better prospect than LeBron James was when he came out?
No,
not even close.
Yep.
Right? Not even close. And again, no knock on Zion Williamson at all, but he's not LeBron. So he's not turning this team around in 1 year. Okay?
Okay.
Now, if you have Anthony Davis, you have him, you have Drew Holiday, that's fine. You know as well as I do that when a guy doesn't want to be somewhere, he's not giving you 100%.
Yep.
If you backdoor try to keep Anthony Davis here in New Orleans, he's not giving you 100%. So if I'm the owner of that team, I don't even want that headache. Anthony Davis is a valuable – we're not talking about a guy like John Wall, who we talked about the other day, where if you trade John Wall, you're going to get back pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
You're not going to get back the talent. You're not going to get back a big haul of prospects. Like, you're going to trade John Wall. Somebody's going to take him as a salary dump. Anthony Davis is not John Wall. Anthony Davis is a guy who the other 29 teams in the NBA would take in a second. You know what I'm saying? Most of them would be lining up and saying, who do you want on my roster to get Anthony Davis? So that, I think, is the big thing here. Is like, they're still going to get top dollar, top value for Anthony Davis. There's going to be multiple offers. Somebody's going to offer them something. There's going to be 2 or 3 really good offers out there on the table. And what I would do if I'm the GM in New Orleans is exactly what a real estate agent does when you have 3 offers on a house. You call all 3 people up and you say, here's the deal. Give me your highest and best offer right now. What you offered me, I have something from 2 other teams that are very similar. Show me what your best offer is right now. We're going to make a decision on one of the 3. They're going to end up getting a piece or 2 that can help them right now, a young player that can help them, as a rotation piece, and a high draft pick for Anthony Davis. If you're in New Orleans, that's what I want to do. I would say, okay, I got my star in Drew Holiday here. I got my future star in Zion Williamson, and now I'm going to get a bunch of other pieces to put to this team along with the draft pick.
You guess who else you have? You have Anthony Davis. They don't have to move him.
But he will not play for them.
I think
he will not play for them.
I think with Zion there, it makes it different now. I think with Zion there, because now it's a bigger story now. Now it's like, now you're really an asshole if you don't go down there and play with Zion when you're going to be on TV every single night now. That's a destination. That's going to, you saw what Zion did for Duke. You know what I'm saying? Now that's going, you understand.
He got them knocked out before the Final Four. That's what he did.
New Orleans Pelicans basketball is going to be must-see TV next year.
I mean, again, I love Zion Williamson. I'm not knocking him, and it will be must-see TV. Anthony Davis will be on his couch in New York or LA or wherever else he winds up getting traded to, watching that must-see TV because he's not going to be a part of it.
Interesting. So there you go right there. The Pelicans get that done. Benny still think the trade is in place. Let's go to the number 2 pick. Well, not pick, but the number 2 selection goes to the Memphis Grizzlies. The John Morant's people are thrilled. Not too far from home. He can have the keys to the club early. Got a good player there, Mike Conley. He'll probably be with him there to start his career. More than likely by the trade deadline next year, Mike Conley, if he still is healthy and still has working with anything, he'll more than likely be shipped out of town. And now you got Morant and a couple of pieces to build around in Memphis, which, you know what? It's not a bad idea, and it's a basketball haven.
Yeah, I mean, well, they traded away – they already started the rebuild in Memphis, right? We knew that when they traded away Marc Gasol. they had Jaren Jackson last year who turned out to be even – I thought he was a good player coming in, but he turned out to be even better than a lot of people expected. Like people are calling him like a poor man's Anthony Davis right now, although he doesn't have the injury issues. So that might even make him a better piece to have as a young guy. I don't know if Avery Bradley's back too, but like if you're a guard coming into the league, learning from Mike Conley and Avery Bradley, like you could do much, much worse than that. So I would be perfectly fine with him being in a rotation with those two guys, splitting the minutes with those two guys early in the year. And then, like you said, if they can get something for Conley later on in the season, I mean, obviously they're moving forward with a younger team and with kind of a rebuild. So, Conley, great player, has been for a really long time. Injuries have always been a little bit of a thing with him. He still has some value though. You'll still be able to trade him and get another nice little piece back around the trade deadline. But I'd keep him at least for the beginning of the year and let him and Avery Bradley kind of show John Morant the ropes and, here's how to be a pro. Here's how to play at this level. Here's things you can get away with, you can't get away with. But, yeah, I mean, within a year or so, you're handing the keys to an absolutely electric guy to be one of your superstars on this team. So, like I said, I don't mind if you bring him along slow this year. He's probably not going to win the Rookie of the Year this year because I do think there are other guys there that, he's not going to get a chance to, like a Donovan Mitchell where they hand him the ball and say, have a 35, 40 usage and, take as many shots as you need to. But I would be perfectly happy. And, another thing that's great for John Morant, too, Tennessee has no state income tax. So he worked out a lot better than if he would have got drafted by New York or L.A.
There you go. So that's a good look for John Morant. Like I said, spoke with those people last night. They were very thrilled with the destination. If that is the destination, they don't mind it at all. Still, obviously, the New York Knicks are still in everybody's mind, too, when it comes to job. But Memphis is a place that they like a lot, and they're very thrilled with the situation. If the young man is drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies, which it looks like he very well could be, because it looks like a piece that can fit. You got a basketball crazy city in Memphis, and then Memphis is. Have you seen what Memphis Tigers have been doing recruiting wise?
Yeah, Penny, right?
They're racking up, They are racking up. They're becoming the new Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, you pay guys enough money, they'll go to Memphis and play.
Memphis is like University of Memphis is like kind of like St. John's. It's like it has a campus, but it's really a commuter school.
Yeah, so I've actually been there before. When I was 14 or 15, that's where the AAU national championship was down in Memphis. So we played in what do they call it? The Pyramid. The Pyramid is their stadium is basically like a pyramid down in Memphis.
Wait a minute. So it wasn't the FedEx Forum?
I don't think so.
Memphis plays in the Pyramid, and the Grizzlies play in the FedEx Forum. There you go.
Yeah. So they have like their stadium, like it looks like a pyramid. It's like a metal pyramid in the middle of like a city and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty cool. When I went down there. Now again, this is over 20 years ago or so, but Tennessee right now is one of the fastest growing states in the union. A lot of people moving in there. Again, no taxes. They got a lot of like internet, kind of businesses starting up around there. So it's a pretty up and coming place. So, and I always like Penny too. So, I mean, I hope they actually do wind up being good down there. I think that'd be pretty cool. Again, I mean, I remember when we were kids, like when we were teenagers, Memphis always had players and they were always pretty good for a bunch of years.
That kid from Jersey, that was supposed to be
Devon Wagner?
Yeah, Devon Wagner. Are the rumors about him true?
Which rumors are you talking about?
The reason why he's not playing basketball is because he's HIV positive.
Oh, I didn't hear that, but I put it this way, bro. Like when we were growing up, he was like 2 years behind me in school. We actually played. My high school played them the year after I graduated in the Tournament of Champions finals. He was one of the best high school basketball players I've ever seen.
He had a 100-point game.
Yeah, but he scored a 100-point game against it'd be like me playing against my kids, bro. And I'm not, no knock on him, but I'm saying like the school that they played against when he scored the 100 points, like they first off they had no business playing that school, and second off like his coach was kind of a dick about it. I mean, they were up like 60, 70 points, and his coach was like full court pressing and running and gunning. Again, scoring 100 points in a game is not easy, but it's not like you scored 100 points in a competitive game against a good team and all that stuff. Like it was basically layup line practice for them. So
no doubt. New York Knicks, Benny, third pick is the landing spot. R.J. Barrett looks like it could very well be the player, but I actually have an idea for the New York Knicks if they want to move this pick.
Trade it to New Orleans so that Zion and RJ Barrett can stay together. I said it before the draft. That's the two of them are best friends.
What do you get back? Who do you get back from New Orleans?
That's the problem if you're in New Orleans. Like,
you can't pay Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and Anthony Davis.
Okay, I mean, I would take Anthony Davis and, Kevin Durant as my two.
The thing about it is Kevin Durant is doing the capping for Kyrie Irving.
Well,
Kevin Durant wants it to be Kyrie Irving.
So, I mean, you get Kyrie Irving, you get Kevin Durant, and then you get R.J. Barrett. That's going to be your core.
I would move R.J. Barrett.
For what?
Danny Green.
You would take Danny Green for R.J. Barrett? I'd much rather have the younger guy that has way more upside.
I give me the guy that can win now, and a guy that's been on deep finals runs. He doesn't need the basketball. Kyrie and KD can hog the basketball. He's a 3-and-D guy who's been in finals, who's won championships. That's a win-now move right there. And you sending Barrett, Long Island kid to New York, and you sending R.J. Barrett, Toronto guy, to Canada.
All right. I mean, I got to be honest. I'd keep the pick. I'd keep the young guy.
He's a nice player. Don't get me wrong. I think Barrett is a good scorer, but he's not a win-now guy, and his game is not going to develop because Kyrie and Kevin Durant are going to hog the basketball.
Well, I mean, again, the kid's 19 years old.
That's
like,
true.
That's the thing with draft picks. It's like, you're projecting a little bit on what this guy can become eventually, I mean, it's a guy with size that can score, that's a competitor, that can rebound for you. Like, again, does he have to get bigger and stronger? Yes. Is he, NBA ready right now? Not NBA ready to step in and be a star, but I mean, he's definitely a rotation player or a back end starter, as soon as he puts on a uniform. And not for nothing, but look at the guys the Knicks were playing last year for 30 minutes.
Oh, he's better than
Alonzo Trier, Damian Dotson, Lance Thomas. Like, these are guys that were, I mean, even on the wing, if you put them at the two, you were playing guys like Trey Burke 25 minutes a game last year because you didn't have any talent. So to me, the Knicks just need to bring in guys that can actually play basketball because right now they don't have many on the roster.
No, they do not. And that's the case right there. But no, listen, it's not Zion, but R.J. Barrett is not bad. The Lakers get the 4th pick. What the hell was that, Benny?
Hey, it is what it is, man. Kyle Kuzma wears the purple suit. He looks like the Joker, and he comes away with the 4th pick. What are you going to do about it? I mean, listen, this is a good thing for them, right? Like, because they were scheduled for, I want to say the 11th pick. The 11th or 12th pick is what they were supposed to get. So, I mean, it's great for them. They get a chance to go out and get a DeAndre Hunter or a Culver maybe and add to that roster. So, I mean, listen, if they're trying to make a move for Anthony Davis, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just adding another really good young piece to that team along with the Kyle Kuzmas and the Lonzo Balls and all these other guys that they have that they can turn and trade, the Brandon Ingrams. I mean, listen, you got, I know we talk about LeBron all the time, but you're talking about a whole bunch of guys that were first-round picks in the last couple of years right there.
Yeah,
and, even though Kuzma was a late first-round pick, he's played like a top 5, top 10 pick. So you got a whole bunch of guys that other teams would be interested in. So I don't know what the move the Lakers is going to make are, or what the moves the Lakers are going to make are in this offseason.
They have the assets.
But you definitely have the pieces to make some things happen. So
it was funny, last night during the broadcast, that's one of the broadcasts, almost like the Heisman Trophy, where the broadcaster can be heard in the room. Like the broadcast is broadcasting throughout the room. And they're talking about Anthony Davis. And it was like they were talking to Kyle Kuzma. Then they moved the camera from Kyle Kuzma back to the set and started talking about Anthony Davis. And I'm like, yo, Kyle Kuzma is there. You understand that if Anthony Davis is a Laker, it's a good chance Kyle Kuzma is going to be in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying?
But is that a bad thing? I mean, listen, now you're talking, like, let's say you make that move. Now you got Drew Holiday, you got Zion Williamson, you get a guy like Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram. That's a hell of a 4. You still have Randall there. Jahlil Okafor actually played good minutes for them when they gave him minutes when guys were hurt. That's what I'm saying is, like, moving Anthony Davis can bring in a couple pieces for you where that's a hell. Like, if you make that trade, if you send, Anthony Davis to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, and basically the Lakers told him at the trade deadline last year, take whoever you want. So, like, if you take, like, Ingram, Kuzma, and, and the pick, Well, now you're talking about you have a nucleus of 5 or 6 guys with Drew Holiday as your leader, and then you have 5 or 6 guys that are all 25 or under. You're talking about being able to move a team or sell a team. You could sell that team. You could sell a team with that many young stars on it because that's a team that'll have a bright future.
No doubt, I agree with you on that one. So there you go, right there. The fifth pick. Who had the fifth pick, Ben?
I think the fifth pick. It just went by whoever was supposed to have it. So I don't know. Was it Phoenix or Cleveland? It's either Phoenix or Cleveland. I forget.
Yep. So that round at the top 5 of the NBA draft lottery. Exciting night, big night for the NBA. Then you had right after that, you had game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. I tell you what, that luck just keep on rolling. Elite betting, Elite Sports Betting, the new betting site. Cats are getting it done over there. You want to go over there and sign up because you got winners making good picks and winning. Yo, MLB Dream, right? His picks are shared in there. So I would play like a lot of the picks and stuff like that. What I've noticed is his team totals always hit.
That's good.
Always, Benny, always.
Okay.
So yesterday he had two yesterday. He had the Astros and the Royals. They hit in like the first inning. And I was like, by the time I checked the score, I was like, wait, this bet hit already? Now, with that being said, I hit him up on Twitter. I'm like, yo, your team totals are on fire. I've been noticing that. He was like, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm sitting up here right now calculating my record on the season on my team totals. His team totals are 23-9, and he's on a 13 pick winning streak.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes the algorithm is firing on all cylinders, and when it is, you hop on the train. So I actually have been taking a lot of his bets the last couple of weeks too, because he's been crushing this season. I think he's over 65% winners right now, which is crazy. He's been absolutely on fire to start MLB. So, hop on board while he's while his numbers are working out, because he's basically cashing every day. So that's always a good thing, man.
So I had the under I had Golden State and the under. And I'm sitting here watching the last couple of minutes of the game, and I'm like, damn it, this game's going to go over the number. I turned the TV off. And I come back, I check the final score, half a point. Won by half a point. And I'm like, you know what? That half a point is going to come back at some point. Let me not get carried away. Let me thank the gambling gods, you know what I'm saying? But I took an L last night on the Carolina Hurricanes. Couldn't even get game 3 in their own building. So that was how that bet went down. But the Dubs get the victory last night, do it in pretty easy fashion. But I do think the Blazers are up for the fight, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good series, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what, I do not want to be Portland going down 2-0 and then having to go back to Portland trying to win the series. If you're down 2-0 going back to Portland, if Golden State steals one of those games in Portland, they come back for game 5 and they end it at home. That's the way I think it's going to wind up happening. So I'm a little higher, I think, on Golden State. I mean, I love Portland. I think they made a nice run. They they allowed me to hedge them and make some money, but I felt like I made the right move with that hedge, and I'm good with that.
Yep, you're good.
I was gonna say I actually had a couple good. I had a good night last night with the prop bets. I didn't put any money on the game, but Steph Curry went over 4.5 threes. Stephen Clay over the 6.5 threes. Those both hit. Your boy Harkless, even though I was nervous about the Harkless stuff. Like after we got off the show, I was like, yo, Corey's right, man. Harkless should have a big game today if there's no Rodney Hood. So I took Harkless over 7.5 points because I thought that was low. And then I took him over 13.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And then like an hour before the game, they announced Rodney Hood's going to play. And I was like, oh, shit.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man, I want to get that money out of there. But I was like, you know what? Let me let it ride. So I hit all 4 of those props. The only 2 I lost were the over on Iguodala's points and the over on Draymond Green's points, because basically Steph just went nuts and scored, and Clay scored a lot yesterday. And those guys both finished with like 9 or 10 points. And it wasn't far off. Like I think Iguodala's over-under was 10.5 and Draymond's was like 12.5 or something. So I'm definitely going to go back to that bet later on in the series, but it didn't work last night.
No doubt. I don't think we see Kevin Durant. It may not be no reason to see Kevin Durant until we get to the finals.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, from what I've been hearing and reading, they're saying at the earliest it would be a game 5.
Yeah.
And if you're up 3-1 going back to Golden State for a game 5, why would you even do that? Like,
yeah, at that point, you know what I'm saying? You just let the team go ahead and do their thing. The Kevin Durant thing is intriguing. I still think the Warriors are in play to get Kevin Durant next year, which would, if the Warriors would sign Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson in the offseason, that Draymond Green is out the door. That's all that means right there, because Draymond Green is not going to take less money than those guys. He's going to be upset about that, and they're going to end up moving him. But it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. These prop bets are good at this time of year because the rotations are tighter, so you know the minutes that people are playing. So it's easier to catch one that may be a little bit off kilter and hit those. I've done very well with the prop bets in the postseason too. I lost him by a half a point with Andre Iguodala, big man from the Raptors, Serge Ibaka. He was 9.5. He had 9 at halftime, didn't score a single point in the second half. I never forget that, son. That was a painful one right there. With that being said, Billy, we get game 1 of Bucks and Raptors. Go ahead and right now the Bucks are laying 6. I think, what's the total on that one?
I don't know the total. I thought it was 6.5 they were laying. Let me take a look. I actually have it up right here. Let's see. NBA. 6.5 is the total, because I looked at that right before we came on. I'm just waiting for my computer to work here. Well, either way.
Hold on, I just pulled it. You know, these sites are slow. 6.5. You're right, 6.5. The Bucks laying 6.5. The total is 217.5.
Okay. I mean, listen, these are 2 good defensive teams, but they're also 2 teams that play really fast. That was the thing during the season, is that both of these teams can put up some numbers. I mean, Toronto's actually number 1 in the league in transition offense, which, you know what's funny? Milwaukee's actually number 1 in the league in transition defense. So, you know, you're looking at strength versus strength here in a lot of spots. Basically, these 2 teams played 4 times in the regular season, Corey, right? The first game we can kind of throw out for our analysis because Giannis didn't play and Kawhi didn't play. So that's obviously going to change the way things
management.
Yeah, I mean, neither one – and again, this is what we talked about earlier too. So that you really can't get too much from that first game. So the other 3 games that they played, Milwaukee beat them twice in Toronto, and Toronto beat them once in Milwaukee. So apparently neither one of these teams can hold their home court, which is, you know, not really a good thing for this series going forward here. The games weren't like huge blowouts. I mean, I think Milwaukee lost by like 6 or 7, and then they beat them by like 4 or 5 in the one game. The other game, they did beat them by like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm just trying to look at some of the notes I wrote down because I actually have to write this up in a little bit here. Giannis had 51, 67, and 54 fantasy points in the 3 games he played.
I was about to say, he had
not points. I'll give you the breakdown. He had the first game, he had 19 points, 19 rebounds. The second game, he went ballistic, 43 points, 18 rebounds.
Yeah, wow, that's Giannis. It's crazy.
Yeah. Those numbers are just sick. The third game, he only had 19 and 9, but that was the game they won by 15. He also only played 27 minutes that game, when the other games he played 35, 38. So really, that 19 and 9 is probably more like 25 and 12 or 25 and 13 if he would have played, you know, the entire game or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one bet I like, talking about prop bets, one thing I like tonight, you can get over 12.5 rebounds on Giannis for plus 115. You know, like I said, he had 19 rebounds the first game, 18 the second game, only 9 the third game, but he had 9 in 28 minutes as opposed to 37 minutes. So
that's Giannis, because
Giannis over 12.5 rebounds for Giannis at plus 115. So you're even getting plus money on it. So that's something I think, you know, based on looking at this is what we see. A lot of people are expecting like Giannis and Kawhi to guard each other, but that's not what happened during the season. You know, like, again, you get switched off every once in a while, possession, stuff like that. But they had Giannis guarding Pascal Siakam, and Chris Middleton was guarding Kawhi Leonard. And then it was kind of the same thing on the other end of the floor, too. Like, Kawhi was not guarding Giannis. And this is also why I don't think this is a very good series for Marc Gasol, because I don't think you can – what teams have been trying to do is basically putting their center on Giannis, because really Giannis, Giannis scores all his points around the paint. But, like, if your center is like, you know, Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid, like guys that are athletic enough to play with him, it makes sense. Like, Marc Gasol's not that kind of guy. Like, you're not going to put Marc Gasol on Giannis, and, you know, I don't think it's going to work out. So, really, I think this is going to be more of a Serge Ibaka series.
Okay.
Because Ibaka, both defensively and just athletically, is the guy who kind of makes more sense for them to use. So Ibaka is another guy I'm going to be taking a look at some of his props for, because I don't think they can play, I don't think they can play Marc Gasol whenever Brook Lopez isn't on the floor. And from what we've seen in the recent games is now that they have Mirotic, which is also what makes this a tough series to break down. Like Gasol, I don't think played in any of these games. The trade happened
it was too early, too late on in the season.
Yeah, Mirotic didn't play in any of these games because, again, they played earlier in the season and, those guys got traded at the deadline. But Mirotic is up to playing like 25 minutes in those recent games against the Boston Celtics. And Mirotic's minutes have kind of come at the expense of a guy like Brook Lopez's minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to go more with Mirotic, then that means less Lopez, which also means on the other side probably less Gasol. So I think you're going to get bigger minutes in this series from Serge Ibaka than we did last series. And I mean, listen, they basically didn't play Serge Ibaka for most of the last series, and then they put him in the last game, and he's honestly the reason why they're here.
No, he played a big role, and I think that he is their best option when it comes to trying to keep Giannis in check. As far as the game goes, I'm laying the points with the Bucks. I think the Bucks sort of that lost, that game one loss to the Celtics. Not gonna let that happen again. And they come out and they're ready. And one thing about the Bucks, when the Bucks get rolling, the Bucks don't stop. The Bucks will light your ass up. And I think the Bucks go out there and get a big victory in game one. What you got, Benny?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same mindset. I'm messing more with the props right now. I think there's more value in there, and I think they care less about the props than they do about the line in Vegas.
That's true, too. You're right about that.
Yeah, they take a lot less action on these, so they almost consider it like a loss leader. Like, they put these down there knowing they're going to lose a little bit of money because it's going to bring people in to bet on the game, which is, where they're going to make their money. So I've been sticking to the props market here. But I do think that Milwaukee wins this game. My biggest problem is I can't see how Toronto's going to score, right? Like, that's my biggest beef here is, Kawhi Leonard, he's going to play okay. Well, what they basically did to him during the season, Corey, they tried to make Kawhi Leonard shoot the mid-range jump shot, which Kawhi Leonard loves shooting. Like, that's not a bad thing.
That's fine with him.
Yeah, he'll take it all day. But the thing is, if you keep shooting contested twos and the other team is coming down and hitting threes and beating you on the boards and beating you inside, that's basically what Milwaukee's looking to do. They're like, listen, we'll let Kawhi get his 25, 30. They'll put Giannis on Siakam and try to take Siakam out of the game. And they'll basically say, Kawhi, you either got to score 70 to beat us or the guys around you have to step up and start scoring. And if you look at the way that the points went for those series, you get open shots against Milwaukee if you put Kawhi in the post.
Yeah.
The problem is, do you really want Marc Gasol and Kyle Lowry and Danny Green shooting a whole bunch of threes? Like, are you going to live and die with those guys shooting a whole bunch of outside shots? Like, if that's what you're going to do to attack the way that Milwaukee's going to defend you, I think as a coach of Milwaukee, I'd be fine saying, okay, I'll let Marc Gasol, Danny Green, and Kyle Lowry beat me shooting jump shots.
Listen to this one right here. I don't see a market for Serge Ibaka on FanDuel right now.
Because he's not the starter. He's not on DraftKings either for the same reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He was last week, though. During the series last week, they had a market for him.
Every once in a while they'll throw him in there, but they probably have one for Gasol, right? Because they usually only put the starter, like you're talking like the over/under on points and stuff like that. Yeah, they usually only do the starters from both teams.
Listen to this. I just found this on FanDuel Sportsbook right here. And I'm going to put something on this today, being off of what you mentioned. Giannis with 14 rebounds and the Bucks to win is plus 250.
I like it.
So there you go, right there. That's your rebound theory for Giannis right there, and a Milwaukee Buck victory. So yeah, that's at plus 250. That's not a bad one right there. That one right there will be in my queue. So there you go, right there. Big piece of chicken. Got to give it to Adam Silver. Great job, the NBA last night with their draft lottery. It was obviously the most talked about thing on social media. You want to hear people talk about it all day today. And you got people like me that think it's conspiracy theory. You got cats like Benny that's like it was straight on the up and up. But whatever it was, Commissioner Silver, you do have us talking about it today. So big piece of chicken goes to Commissioner Adam Silver, who I've said many times is the sharpest guy in pro sports.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I'm a big fan of Silva's too. My big piece of chicken is going to Steph Curry. You know, as bad as he shot for most of that Houston series, and as much as he made us all, you know, a little nervous, I think he had 9 3-pointers last night. I don't even know because at the end of the game I stopped paying attention because they were beating him so bad. But
it was over early.
Yeah, I think he came out and hit 9 3-pointers last night. You know, was absolutely on fire, absolutely carried his team. Reminded everybody that, yeah, Kevin Durant's a good player, but we were one of the best teams ever during the regular season, even before we had Kevin Durant coming in there.
They're getting a kick out of playing without him.
Well, you know what? Here's my thing, and this is what I say. People are like, oh, see, they're better off without Durant.
No.
They're not better off without Durant because during the regular season, there were times when Steph was hurt. There were times when Clay was hurt. There were times when Draymond was hurt. So when you have Kevin Durant, it's another player. The thing that makes this team so good is that they do have so many weapons that you could lose a 5-10-time All-Star in Boogie Cousins, and it's no big deal. That you could lose an MVP candidate in Kevin Durant, and you still got enough firepower to, you know, to keep going on and winning. So it's not that they're better off without Durant. It's that they're so good overall that it's very easy for them to absorb one of their major guys going down because they just have so many of them.
What's the team's motto, Benny?
Next man up? I don't know. Is it?
Strength in numbers.
Strength in numbers? I was going to say, I don't know what their motto is. Hang out in the Hamptons? Like, you know, I don't know. Wait, before we end the show, I just have to say this right now. You remember Deion Sanders, right?
I love Deion.
Deion Sanders said this on a commercial one time. You can't give yourself a nickname. Like, he didn't give himself primetime. That's what they called him because of the way he played. Like, the Warriors, you guys are that's the lineup of death. That's the lineup that was given to you guys. You can't name yourself the Hamptons 5. That's just dumb.
Yeah,
A, it's a dumb nickname, and B, you're not allowed to give yourself a nickname. So
that's true. Listen, they had the Hampton 5. They got my brother-in-law has a Hamptons 5 T-shirt. It's very funny. It's like the 5 of them with shorts on and stuff like that. It's a cool T-shirt. The Hampton 5. It's the Hampton 5 strength in numbers on top. And when you're in the Oracle Arena, sometimes they span up to the top of the stadium, and on the roof it says strength in numbers, and on their towels it says strength in numbers, which is fitting because like you said, Benny, that's kind of how they play. But you know what? We are out of here. Everybody, good luck with your bets tonight, and everything will work out well for my main man, Benny Ricciardi. I'm Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line. We are out.